The Giggle Gang Podcast.
Shepherd Fairies skateboarding make obey.
Shepherd Fairies?
Shepherd Fairy, that's his name.
Who? Is that a person?
He's a graffiti artist.
Okay.
You not know about Obey?
No, this is why I asked.
Yeah, it
seems like a rip-off of Supreme, but with less letters.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they came out around the same time.
Okay.
But Supreme is obviously the more higher valued brand. But
okay.
Yeah, this is
Obey is like the Von Dutch of the skating world.
Yeah, it's basically like a cheaper version of Supreme, like a skateboarding make. Well, it's kind of skateboarding wear, but yeah, he is a graffiti artist. Have you never seen the face? It's like he used Andre the Giant, and that's like a big face of Obey. It might be on the. Is it on the thing?
No, it just says Obey, bro.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We're now looking at clothing tags. So you'd tuned into the apparel podcast. You're most definitely in the right place. Oh, how we laugh. We got Ben Silver in Beat the Frog, World Series, highway robbery victim. Mate, she didn't deserve it. What's the opinion?
I think that she did deserve it. Just because
I wasn't there, so
because she obviously got the most votes, so you know what I mean. But as well, I can't really say because I came like a minute when Anna had a minute left, so I didn't really get a good judge of.
Because you were outside listening to our radio show.
Yeah, exactly. I was handing out flyers for our radio show outside. No,
Scarlett was getting so angry. She was like, Ben was being so weird at World Series. Like, he'd be there and then he'd just disappear. And I was like, he was listening to our radio show. She was like, no, he wasn't. I was like, yeah, he 100% was. He loves the sound of his own voice.
No, yeah, I do. But the thing is that what happened was, I was on last, right? So I knew I was on last, and so I didn't want to, because obviously I'd invited friends and family. Yeah. And I didn't want to go outside on a break and see all my family before I'd even gone on, because they were all going to be like, oh, no way. Do you know what I mean? Like, so
you were hiding from them.
So I was like, I'll just turn up after the first section. So like, you know what I mean? I'll just turn up then, and then obviously when the show starts, Dan Nightingale gets on the mic and he's like, can Ben Silver make himself known? Like fucking 8 Mile or something, do you know what I mean? Like, so obviously I'm at home.
Because you hadn't
turned up and
signed in.
Yeah.
Oh no, so they thought you weren't coming.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously Scarlett's ringing me, my cousin's ringing me, people are ringing me going, Aaron Insta's ringing me, fucking going, why
is he called Aaron Insta?
Well, he's called Aaron Wood, isn't he? But his Instagram name is Aaron Insta, and that's how I know him.
Because I know him as Aaron Insta as well. For something completely different. Because his first contact with me to ask for a gig was through Instagram. So I had to remind myself he's not on Facebook, he's on Insta. But I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, Aaron Insta, yeah.
Oh my
God. So obviously, so they were ringing me, and so then I was like rushing to get there, and then I got there. Because I said to Scarlett and Aaron, I said, can you just tell them that I will be there? I'm just running late. You know what I mean? Like,
but you were at home, like sleeping.
I was at home, like chilling, yeah. And so basically, they arrived, and I got to see. I think it was James. I think James Heath is the first full one that I saw, and James smashed it. James is probably my favourite comedian of our circle.
Can we shout out the James Heath fan club meme page?
That is excellent as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post something on the James Heath fan club page, because in my notes, and I'll show you right now, Matty, but obviously for the listeners you can't see, but if you go to Facebook and go on the James Heath fan club page, you'll be able to see in my notes dated the 28th of October, which is before the fan club was ever set up.
Yeah.
I have notes. I have like a list of things that I want to do in my life, like, not necessarily, like
have a family,
touch a woman, and stuff like that. But
buy a Lexus.
Yeah, definitely. Wear some knee-length socks.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Drive a children's bus.
Real bucket list stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got one here, and
eat a baked potato with no hands.
Yeah, exactly. Have a shave and then eat a bowl of beans.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I've got it. It says, look, like daily routine, get up early,
meditate, creative writing,
whatever.
1 hour of stand-up,
gay, and then all
set
this.
up new Facebook page
Right.
and Insta, arrange tattoo, and right at the end, make friends with James Heath and David Twin Peaks. Who's David Twin Peaks?
David, that's another line, that Twin Peaks. But David is just another guy. He doesn't do comedy. He's just a sick guy that I want to make mates with. Yeah. So I've had that. I wanted to make mates with James Heath long ago.
Wow.
So I just wanted to
do you feel like you're not mates with James Heath? Because I feel like I am, but I feel like it was on accident. I didn't really try.
Well, I think that's the thing. I was talking about this. The thing is with friendship with males, it's a very weird dynamic because you can't just come out and say, I want to be mates. Do you want to be mates?
Can you be my friend?
Yeah. Like, never happens. So it's got to kind of happen organically. And like...
I feel like making friends as an adult is a completely different process as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you can't just walk up and be like, you can't play with us, or like, you want to be my friend?
Yeah.
Like, you just like work with a cunt and then you're like, oh, do you want to come and, look at some like classic cars with me this weekend? Next thing you know, you're sharing a bloody hot dog in a park and you're touching each other's kneecaps and it's all on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, I don't know, so I felt like... but also, I think James has got like a wife and kids. So
doesn't have kids, just has a wife.
Just has a wife, but I'm sure she's pregnant, isn't she?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe he doesn't even know.
No, I don't think she is, because I had a really...
This is what Molly McGuinness said anyway, so...
Yeah, Molly McGuinness doesn't know shit, and I'll say that publicly. As you know, Ben Silver, I don't backtrack.
Yeah.
The only thing Molly McGuinness does know about is women's lingerie, and if you need a hand, she definitely did help me out.
Okay.
So solid gal. I won't say anything bad about Molly McGuinness other than the fact she doesn't know shit about James Heath.
Okay.
I had a good chat right with James, because obviously getting on stage, it can be nerve-wracking, and a lot of things are running through your head. So James had come up to me and he said, this audience is really young. I don't know whether I should do my actual jokes, or I've got some new ones that I might try that they might
When was this?
This is when he was going on to compete to win Beat the Frog. He ended up going on beating the Frog, and that's why he was in World Series. But this was the night he was in the competition.
Not the heat, the competition.
The competition before he'd beaten the Frog ever, right? Okay. And he was really nervous. And I was like, James, do not change anything in your set. Keep it exactly the same. Fuck them if they don't like it. You are doing it for you. And he was like, okay, fine. Then, to sort of get his head out of the game, I started asking him about his sex life with his wife, just to sort of roll things on. And his statement was, I don't care if I never have sex ever again. It means absolutely nothing to me.
Nah, I understand what you're saying there. I understand what you're saying.
He's like, it's just a movement of two bodies. And he's like, there's so much more other exciting things that can be done in life. So to find out his wife is pregnant based on that attitude towards intercourse, it must have been a very, clinical situation.
Very
he just would have turned to his missus over a cup of tea and been like, I'd like a child now. She comes over and sits on his lap.
I'd like a child now. Well, it's weird. I'm quite jealous because James has never opened up to me like that before. Every time we exchange kind of words, it's just kind of like, I liked your jokes. I like your jokes.
You need to ask him really direct questions. I asked him if he likes it rough, and he said sometimes. He's like
Siri, you know what I mean? You just got to ask him a very
specific... spoken to.
Yeah, so...
It's like the posh man's Alexa. Imagine if you could have James Heath,
that would
voice
be unreal.
as Alexa, and you're there panicking, being like, show me the train timetables to Bolton. It's like, stop being over the top, Ben.
Unreal. Well, so I think... But I understand what you're saying there about because if I have sex with someone... Right,
here we go.
That will last me about 4 months.
What do you mean?
Until I have to shag again.
Really?
Like a serial killer, I have to shag again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when that 4 months rolls around, how heavy is the urge?
Well, it's not. I'm not gonna go out and force it.
Absolutely.
But obviously, force myself.
It becomes a primary.
Focus. But it just becomes. I start looking at I just start looking at people who aren't even that hot, or like I'll notice small things like pregnant women.
Yeah,
I get turned on.
Or
by
you'll get like a
women.
Primark catalogue in your mailbox, and you'll take it to the room, and you'll be like, "Heavens above, why can't these people be in store?"
Yeah, exactly.
Why do they have to employ 16-year-olds? I don't know.
Exactly.
Somebody answer me this question. I need security.
Yeah. Sometimes, so I don't know. I feel like. And especially if you've got a wife and you've pounded her so much that it's like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's old Fanny, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I remember, like, I went out with a girl once. She was like my dream girl. Yeah. And she was like my high school sweetheart and all that.
Why was she your dream girl? In what sense?
Just because she was fit, she was cool, she was funny, she was. Could
she like kick it with the lads, but she was also like a girly girl. Like she was very feminine, but she was also chill.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that, and also she was just she just had a good sense of humor, and she was very sexy. Like and she had a beautiful body and whatever, and stuff like that. And after about 8 or 9 months, 10 months, I got bored of.
How old are you?
That's funny. Like. This was a couple of years ago, so I was like 24, 25, something like that. So even your dream girl who you get, I think me personally, you eventually just get bored of the old that particular flange. Yeah,
I think as well the way you're putting it in terms of relationship, right? Is there's a lot more to a lady than just the fanny. And that may be your downfall, because again, it may be the same over and over again, but that particular person can offer you different things, different ideas, different experiences, different whatever. But I understand what you mean, and in the sense that once you're married to someone, everyone says, the sex gets stale, it slows down, whatever. Yeah. You're not as fast, like you're just living your life, and that's okay. But if that's the undoing, if the slowdown in the intimacy causes you guys to break up, you probably weren't meant to be together in the first place.
I definitely believe that as well, because I think that fundamentally it wasn't just the kind of the sex. I don't know. It was maybe it was just like a fundamental breakdown of the way that our two personalities bonded.
It's also being young as well. Like I was saying on the last podcast to Cam about Hazel at the moment and where we're at, how we'll talk about kids and we'll talk about buying a house and getting married and all this stuff, and I've known her since August. And then the girlfriend I had before, I'd known for 2 years, and she'd bring up things like that like 18 months in, and I'd be like, don't talk about that, that's not happening, just slow down. So it was like just younger, wasn't ready, wasn't, and I just, in the back of my mind, I think I knew that she wasn't going to be the one, so I was like always just put it off, or I'd be like, we'll talk about it later, like ugh. Whereas now it gets brought up and I'm bang up to talk about it, like this is what I want.
I suppose, like you said, because I suppose you feel more comfortable, and but also like I feel bad now just saying it was just the same old flange, but what
there's no backtracking on this podcast.
No, there isn't. But I suppose realistically, it's weird. I just felt like the attraction just went away, and for me, I thought that, well, what if the attraction's gone then what is there left? What is there because I don't want to become like a friend couple. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get you. I feel like as well, I listened to an interesting thing, and I can't even remember who said it, but it was like, the 7-year itch, that whole thing. After 7 years, you're like, ugh, whatever. The situation is that you'll get to the point where you'll be so familiar and so comfortable with that person that you'll start taking them for granted. That will just happen 100%. You'll take for granted that you wake up and they cook breakfast for you, or you come home and there's a dinner prepared for you, or your washing gets done without you having to do anything. Like you'll take for granted what happens, and then you'll get to the point where you're just like, do I really need this person? Am I really still attracted to them? And it's like, you need to learn to love the partner that you've got and not be searching for this, like, searching for the honeymoon phase all over again, because it does die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's similar to kind of life and the goals that you attain, and that you think that these goals are going to bring you permanent happiness, and then eventually it wears off and you take it for granted. So like you said, it is more about, that person and like, how cool they are.
You were saying as well, the other week that you couldn't wait for World Series to be over.
Yeah.
Because you were like building up to it now.
Yeah.
Now that it's done, it's out of the
Yeah.
way. What is like the next focus for you? Are you still just we're just in a down time now? We're not looking for anything else.
I think that the goal is just to get really, really good, and write a whole new 5 minutes, so that I'll end up having 10, 15 minutes of material of hard, like competition-worthy material.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, I am in a bit of a downtime kind of phase, because I'm going on holiday soon for a few weeks to Thailand. And so it should be a nice little break. And then when I get back, I feel like going like monk style, just like shaving my head and just going full fucking...
You should go crazy.
Yeah, and just go full stand-up.
I am very nervous looking at your hairline. If you shave it, it may
I will
not
just
come
look...
back.
Well, no.
Your hair's slowly escaping off the back of your
head.
head.
Yeah, exactly. It's like each wind blust is getting a few millimetres back.
Your hair follicles remind me of an Olympic diver. They just can't stop jumping off the edge.
Yeah, exactly. That's nice.
But I think you should shave your head. I think that'd be great. I'd do it with you.
Yeah, well, no, I think I'm just going to shave it just because I can't be bothered with styling it and doing all the bullshit and being afraid of a bit of wind.
Appearance is such like a weird thing. Like I feel like so many people put so much effort into their appearance and nobody cares.
Yeah, no one really cares. People care how you make them feel. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Not what you sat there looking like. And if someone's too good looking or like too kind of like styled, then they can come across as a bit
disingenuous.
Yeah, a bit like kind of, try hard, kind of thing.
It's also really difficult as well. Like if I see somebody and they've got like they've done their hair, they've obviously used like a fucking straightener and shitloads of product. They put moisturizer on their face. They got like clean, crisp clothes on. All looks like new designer brands. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you.
Nah, exactly.
But don't feel like there's much you can offer me, because if you're going to put that much time and effort into looking like that, and I don't even think you look that great, but you're walking around like you're looking amazing, I don't think we're going to have a great time having a chat.
Well, that's what I mean. There's a difference between style and being stylish and being trendy, because you see in Manchester there's lots of Chinese students, and they've obviously got very, very wealthy parents, and literally they're just head to toe in this like the sickest designer gear. Like they've just gone into Selfridges and just like picked like whatever's above 500 quid, and they look like a kind of like what a drug dealer would want to look like. Just like Moncler, like Givenchy, like head to toe. But they still don't look cool. They still look like they're uncomfy in those clothes.
Do you feel like as well, whenever I see someone wearing really expensive clothes, I try to pay a lot of attention to the way that they walk, talk and interact with other people. And it always feels like they rely very heavily on the clothes to make them more appealing, more interesting, like to add something to them.
100%. It's like it's an armour to prop up their own identity.
I've never met someone that looks really sharp out and about and been like, that person's so funny.
Yeah, never. Doesn't. Oh, and that's why, like I said to you, like these trainers that I've got on are just proper shabby and shit. Is because I don't want to go on stage and someone be like, oh, I like his trainers, or I like his fucking pants or something, like, because it's not about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember once when I did Beat the Frog for the first time, there was a guy and he had good jokes. He's from Edinburgh, but you could tell that he wore the freshest shit that he had on. Like he had like a sick like black denim Levi's jacket. He had like some cool All Saints shirt. He just looked well cool. But it's like, and when his jokes were landing, like you could tell that the audience wasn't giving him their full, like attention, and not necessarily attention, but their full kind of their full laughs, basically. Because you could tell that he made it more about, I want to look really cool than I want to be funny. Do you know what I mean? I
fucked up going to Liverpool doing that as well. I wore a Balmain Paris t-shirt. Now, by all accounts, Balmain Paris t-shirt was fake. It was 6 quid.
I know. I know, because I know you, and I know that you've got a few of those mad funny t-shirts that are sick brands but are fake.
Yeah, they're fake as fuck. Because as if I would ever pay
but they
for that
don't.
money.
But they don't know that.
So I got up on stage and I was basically talking about these kids that I used to live near, and they were super poor. And I was like, their mum cooked them a chicken on the Monday. and they're still eating that bird on the Thursday, and it got no laughs. And I got off stage, and the MC was Freddie Quinn, and he goes, "That's pretty common around here." He's like, "People who cook a roast and eat it 5 days later."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Fucking like differences in the temperature, like it's a lot colder here, you know, that chicken's going to keep for a lot longer."
Yeah.
But, like, I'm just there with me Balmain Paris being like, "These people are so poor," and the cunts in the audience are just like, "Oh, that's me. Is he calling me poor?"
Yeah, they're not having it. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. They're not going to get on that level.
Know your audience, mate.
Yeah, well, again, it's building a rapport, you know, with the audience, and, you know, getting them to like you, because if you do good jokes at the beginning and they like you, then jokes that aren't as good will resonate better after good jokes than they will if you do them at the beginning of a set. Do you know what I mean?
You need to become likeable. So for you, tell me about your family life. Is your parents still together?
They're not, no. They split up a while ago. When I was about 2. Okay. Yeah, 2.
So quite a while ago.
Yeah, a long time. 24 years ago. A quarter of a century ago. Yeah.
And so whereabouts do they live?
So my mum lives in a place called Castleton, which is from Chorlton. Mm-hmm. And my dad's from Haywood, and he lives at the moment in the Priory, in a mental home at the moment.
Okay.
Temporarily, but yeah, but my mum's, I remember saying this to you, my mum's a chiropodist, a podiatrist, and my dad's actually a barrister, a criminal barrister, and you know, been really successful, but he was kind of, he had 5 different kids with 5 different women, so he kind of hopped to each kind of thing, built a little family for a couple of years, and then got off. Mm-hmm. So he's someone who's always been kind of in and out of my life, really. But I mean, he's a very intelligent guy. What number child
were you in that?
I was the first.
Okay.
Yeah. So to be fair, I've had quite a good relationship with him, or I've, you know what I mean, seen him the most, because when I was about 18, 20, and he'd had this career and realised that it didn't make him happy, and he'd had all these broken families behind him, he kind of took to the drink and started, you know what I mean, like, and he got very, very depressed and got diagnosed with bipolar and whatever.
How old was he at this point?
I think he's 50, I think he's about 50, he's born in 66, so I think he's about 55, something like that.
No, if he's born in 66, my parents are born in 66, he'd be 52. 52,
yeah. Yeah. So 52, and then he just was drinking hard and didn't have anywhere to go, and then through a few divorces he lost all his houses, all the stuff that he'd accumulated from being a barrister, and then basically he tried to jump in front of a car, but I don't think it was a genuine suicide attempt. I think that it was more of a kind of
desperation.
Yeah, a kind of cry for help, really. I think. Yeah. I think because he's obviously got some strong mental health issues, which I think he's been diagnosed with bipolar, and I think that he's been trying to medicate the bipolar with the drink over the years, and not understood what it is, and thought it's just his personality to be really depressed or whatever. Whereas, you know,
and as well, I feel like if he was having these sort of battles when he was, say, 19, 20, he's like, the way I'm going to beat it, the way I'm going to show them is I'm going to go out, I'm going to be super successful in business, all the women are going to love me, and then within the time, it's so common you see it happen, as you find a girl, you're like, this is the one, this is it, we settle down, we have a kid, and then 4 years later, you look around, you're just like, not really that happy doing this, and then you just go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. My grandfather was the exact same, same, in the sense that he used to buy and sell racehorses. He was a wheeler and a dealer from way back, had the gift of the gab, mate, had the chat, and I briefly got to meet him, died really young, loved drinking, loved the sesh, was an absolute lord.
It's probably where you got it from, the gift of the gab.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what I would describe you as having, definitely.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, no, seriously.
But he was just extraordinary in terms of what he was able to do, and no situation was a problem. He was always successful, even when life was going shit. He was figuring out a way to be successful, but left behind just a trail of destruction because the only person that really mattered was him.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it is. It's your search for your own self-fulfillment, and there's no compromise for anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of really self-absorbed kind of way of living, and you know, ironically, it's weird because I used to think that he was really cool, and then as I've grown up and seen like actual families, I've understood that it actually takes more balls and more of a man to build a family and to be reliable and consistent emotionally to your kids or whatever it is. That is harder because it's easy to be like, oh, this is boring, I'm going to get off and if I can go to Monaco and do you know what I mean? Like it's like that is easier to do. Do you know what I mean? Because you've not got any responsibility there, and it's taught me a lot really. But
see, I in the contrast, growing up, my dad was always like super constant in my life. Never ever had to worry about any concerns that my dad wouldn't be there for me, or neither would my mum. And then when I got to know my grandfather and saw the way that he lived, I looked and I was like, man, he's had such an exciting life. Like, my dad is so boring. Looking at being like, why can't you just be cool? Like, why do you just go to work and fucking come home and you mow the lawns and you fucking make my sandwiches? Like, what a dick, how boring. And now I realise, like, he was just there, just trucking along. And my dad's never sad about anything. But he's also never like overly happy about anything. He's just constant. He's just there if you want to have a chat, and he's really fucking smart. Knows everything about anything. Like, he'd take me on trips. So he used to work servicing like cell towers and whatever for phone companies in New Zealand. So you'd have to drive around to faults on the weekend. And obviously, if it was a weekend, mum had 3 kids at home. So he'd obviously take the problem child away, which was always me. So basically, I'd be in like the truck with him, and we'd be like going to these faults. And I'd be like, Dad, tell me about like the Boston Tea Party, or just like some point in history. And he just knew it. Like, and he'd just like go through it and like explaining to a 9-year-old the Boston Tea Party. It's complex. It's complex. But he'd take the time to sort of go through it, and he'd ask me questions to check we were on the same page. And like the way he'd deliver like stories and like history and how to live your life was always like so interesting and taught me like so much. And then I looked at my grandfather and I was like, man, he's got so much money, he's just living all over the world, he's just banging chicks and partying and being a legend. And I was like, man, that seems so awesome. And now I realise it's not really that awesome. And inside, you're just like, oh, am I really fulfilled? Like, you never really feel like you're doing anything because you half-ass everything and you pull out when it gets shit. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And like, obviously, you know, it's almost a sacrifice kind of that, you know, that your dad, like, obviously, like you said, was kind of boring and reliable. And consistent. But obviously, you have now grown up, you know what I mean, as this, you know what I mean, like cool, intelligent guy who's able to get shit done, and you know what I mean, you've almost got the kind of gift and the character of your granddad, but obviously, you know what I mean, with the kind of integrity of your dad, do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's cool, man. I think also like what I've learned recently, even about like doing stand-ups helped a lot in terms of what I've learned about life, is that if you know, I used to think that if you set a goal and you achieve that goal, then, you know, you reach a permanent state of happiness and contentment. Like, I used to think, imagine if like I could just be respected amongst like, you know, these open mic comedians, and they thought I was funny. I'd walk around all the time then being like buzzing all the time, but it doesn't happen like that. Like, once you do get a certain respect, or like say, oh, I'd just love to win the Gong Show, right? Or I'd love to do a professional night at the Comedy Store. If I could do that, then that would be me. That would sleep soundly at night. But then once you've done it, like, it lasts for a week, and then you're like, all right, okay, do you know what I mean? What's next? So did you just learn that from doing stand-up, basically? Like, an achievement is not going to like tide over your happiness forever. Yeah, pretty much, because growing up, I always thought if I become an actor, right? I always wanted to be an actor, or a comedian. Yeah, I did want to be a comedian as well, but I'd never thought that I'd be good enough. I thought that I was a better actor, which turns out I wasn't. But there's still time. And I always thought the reason why I'm unhappy, or the reason why I'm not contented, because I've not achieved success in those things, or I wasn't on my way to doing it. And so then, obviously, with the acting, when I wasn't successful in acting, I still thought it was because of that, because I thought I'm not making it headway. But then when I started doing the comedy and started finding success with the comedy, and that kind of
lack of contentment was still there.
Yeah.
I understood that it was a symptom of the human condition and what it means to be human, to be constantly striving for the next thing to be okay with that. Do you know what I mean?
Might be able to put it into words for you. I can't remember where I said this the other day, but it's recorded somewhere and I heard it back, right? Yeah. And it's just about me. I said, I won't stop grinding and working until I'm happy. And I'm never happy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's never going to stop.
That is it. Like, it's just like how I explain it. Like, I was talking to Hazel, and I was basically like, my life is like set a goal, achieve a goal. But as soon as I achieve the goal, there's no celebration. There's no like, whoop whoop, I'm taking a week off. It is the day you achieve that, you set the next one. Yeah. And it is just knocking it over like dominoes until you get right to the end. The final domino falls, and I die. That is literally my whole existence. It's just knocking them down.
I think, well, that's what I mean. I think that the real enjoyment comes out of the journey to the goal. Do you know what I mean? So I was in a real state of happiness the 2 weeks before the World Series final. I was like, from winning the heat to the World Series final, I was like proper happy. Like I was enjoying everything, like, you know, I was enjoying watching films, I was enjoying interacting with people, I was enjoying everything.
Even things that didn't pertain to comedy, you had like a happy air about you?
Yeah, exactly, like, it was cool. And then I remember after the World Series, obviously, it was a kind of, once it was over, I was relieved for it to be over, but it was also a bit of a bit of a downer. And so yeah, and I realised that, you know, a lot of the time it's the kind of, it's the expectation of how the goal's going to make you feel that can make you feel really happy. Do you know
and
what I
when
mean?
you don't get it, you feel like you've let yourself down, and it's not good enough, and you don't deserve to be proud because you didn't get the result you had in your head.
Exactly, but what I'm going to do is, you talked about not taking a week off and celebrating stuff, and I've never done that either. And what I'm going to do when I go to Thailand in a couple of weeks is I'm meeting my friend in Thailand. I'm going to take that 2 weeks to kind of reflect on the year that I've had. And the kind of progress that's been made, and just buzz with myself and just fucking just wank my back out all over fucking young Thai women. Not that young though, but
not that young. I'm going to take it to a fun place now. Have you seen the video of the Scouts land in Thailand with the prostitute Jeffrey?
That is sick.
Oh, Jeffrey!
And he keeps trying to grab his dick, and he's going, no.
He's like, oh, Jeffrey, oh, you got the best cock, Jeffrey. He's just there.
Ooh.
Oh my god,
I can't believe it. Like, when we were first watching that, because does he start sucking the lady boy's dick, or is it just the other way around?
No, the lady boy's sucking his dick, but he's trying to wank Jeffrey off, and then he starts calling him Dave at one point. He's just calling him like different male names, and the Jeffrey ones are funny. He's like, oh, Jeffrey, he's like, you're so good with that dick, and then he's like, give us your dick, show us your dick. He's like trying to grab it.
That is fucking sick. Yeah, I think it's funny because I've been to Thailand before, and I've been sexually assaulted by a lady boy.
Okay, but explain that to
not
me.
really sexually assaulted. Basically, I was walking down the strip with me and my mates, and there's these kind of burlesque girls who are advertising a burlesque show.
Yeah. And
like two of them are like girls, and then one of them's a lady boy. And as we're walking past, they just go, oh, hi, and then just grabs my dick, like just like proper, like the outline of my dick, just grabs it and squeezes it.
Yeah.
And obviously, like,
hard squeeze or like loving squeeze?
Nah, like, I mean, yeah, like a kind of like a nice little squeeze. You know what I mean? So
not like a blood pressure machine squeeze.
No. She wasn't trying to check if I was still alive. It was like a proper, just a little pinch. And obviously I didn't think anything of it, but then when I got home, and obviously everyone's talking about sexual harassment and Me Too and stuff like that, I thought, I've actually been sexually assaulted, but by a transgender person, which is quite an interesting, you know, kind of juxtaposition, you know what I mean?
How did it make you feel?
At the time, I just kind of laughed.
Yeah.
Laughed, because that's what it's like in Thailand, and they've got a different culture, and it made me understand that the kind of the high moral culture that we've got here in the West is totally different in the East. But what's interesting as well is, like, the Thai girls, is that, like, my mate proper loves them, because my mate lives there, and like he proper loves them. And I mean, I've shagged a few Thai girls, but thing that I don't really like is that, like, the way that they moan. Because they always moan like, ooh, ah, ooh, ooh, ooh. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like they're stepping on, like,
I don't know what you mean, but continue.
It's like they're stepping on cold tiles, like running across the kitchen, like going, ooh, 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 ah, ah, ah. Like stuff like that. And it's kind of like almost as if like you're hurting them, and then like you kind of stop and you're like, oh, you're alright. And I wouldn't be hurting him with this dick, believe me, do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm kind of stopping.
The only thing I hurt with this dick is myself.
Yeah.
It's my own.
It's my own self-esteem. Yeah. So I don't really like the way that they moan. I wish they would. I don't know. It's weird. I feel like Western. Well, not English girls actually, but like European girls, American girls. I've never actually had sex with an Australian, but
you're missing out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine they're quite similar to Americans in that kind of way. That I feel like they're quite open sexually, not really scared to be dirty.
Do you feel like English girls are?
I feel like no. What the thing is about English girls is that what my experience is that I can go from meeting a girl in a nightclub and spending the whole night with her trying to pull her, and go back to hers and shag her for ages, and then get up in the morning and not one of us have ever mentioned once that we're going to have sex. It's like this weird thing where it's like taboo, whereas an American girl, where I shagged an American girl, as I'm pulling her in the bar and like kind of snogging her and stuff, she's been like, oh my god, I can't wait to fuck you and all this. Like, she's like talking to me about sex. Okay. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's a kind of in England. I feel like we're very repressed sexually to talk about it. So I feel like it's this kind of unspoken dance that you have to do, this social dance that eventually you'll get back to the bedroom and you just start kissing them and you take the knickers off, and if they don't say no, then it's on. But whereas you never say, are we gonna, you know what I mean? Like, do you want to come back to mine so I can fuck you? It's never that. That's seen as cringing almost. You know what I mean?
It's gone down a very Louis C.K. type road.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's a great comedian.
I never thought that we'd spend 4 minutes talking about how much you don't like the moaning of time women and how pulling girls in England you love not talking about sex.
Yeah, so we've gone from my dad's manic episode to young Thai girls.
What a fucking podcast.
Yeah.
So when you were a kid, like in school,
yeah.
And were you telling everyone you wanted to be an actor? Was that the thing?
No, I was quite embarrassed of being an actor. I didn't really want to be an actor until I did a school play in primary school, and it was quite good. And then I also after that did a school play in high school, and it was only until I did the school play in the high school where people were like, "Oh, you were good at that." But it was only good because I could do an accent. I did like a Blood Brothers play.
What accent did you do?
Which is Scouse.
Can you do it?
Scouse, yeah, like it's Scouse. You see, the thing is about accents is you've got to try and not even think about doing it. It just kind of comes through you. But mine's more of a will. See, it's hard because once you hit on a certain letter, like I tried to say Wirral then, but I said Wirral. It's
Wirral?
Like, yeah, what?
From the Wirral. The Wirral.
Yeah, you sounded Irish.
I'm not the authority on accents.
To be fair, I've not done it in a while, but yeah, I think that I could do the accent at the time anyway.
So when you were a kid, you wanted to be an actor because you were good at accents?
Not necessarily. I just thought acting was really cool, and I was good at lying. Basically, it sounds so fucking cliche, but
okay. Yeah. Good at lying, like on screen lying, or like you'd often cheat on your high school girlfriend?
No, like I would basically say, I don't know, I just felt like I was kind of good at feigning different, so like not necessarily different emotions, but if someone said to me, "Oh, look at this painting that I've done," I'd be able to go, "Yeah, that's sick, that," and like properly like make them think that it was sick. Yeah. Like I was good at that kind of thing, or like
I understand that. I sort of get as well, like the weird thing, I recorded radio yesterday with our good friend Scarlett Dobson, and I was listening back, and same with when I did with you, like the interactions I have with people, and you'll say something and I'll be like, "No way," or whatever, and I'll like prompt you to tell it more, and as I listen back, it almost sounds disingenuous, but at the time that I'm doing it, it's not, but I know why I'm doing it. It's to continue this process, continue this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I think some people are social beings and they've got a very good skill for conversation and for interaction between different people. And I think that you're obviously very good at that, very social. And that's a perfect tool for getting somebody to open up to you or like you or kind of or show them your true personality is you start buzzing off what they're saying and kind of, you know, be enthusiastic. And so, like you say, like someone starts telling you a story, you're no way, that's sick, yeah, so you know what I mean, it leads
Give me
on
more
to
information.
Yeah, exactly, rather than just being like, oh yeah, and wanting them just to be like, you know, carry on.
Yeah. So would you say, like, the people that you went to school with, can they sort of wrap their head around what you're doing now? Like, did it make sense from who you were in your younger years that you're now here?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
The thing is that it made more sense than me being an actor.
Okay.
Because I was always, you know, not necessarily the class clown, but I was always kind of trying to make people laugh and being silly. And yeah, taking the piss out of... I used to like, again, kind of with the same kind of theme of the comedy that I do, is trying to get away with saying controversial things, but not necessarily in any offensive way, but in a kind of schoolboy mischievous way. Yeah, that's very light-hearted and cheeky. It's very cheeky. It's light-hearted. It's you know, it's not like a Frankie Boyle like purposely trying to be offensive shock value. Yeah, it's more of a creating that kind of classroom environment where I know I'm not allowed to say knob in class, but I'm going to slip it in by saying, "Ooh, let me feel your doorknob." Do you know what I mean? And so, like, it's that kind of stupid kind of schoolboy thing, which I used to do all the time, and then it's just translated into the comedy.
Would you say that you're like a rule breaker or someone that likes to go against the grain? You sort of enjoy chaos?
I'm definitely, I would say, all these words I feel like apply to me. Like, I'm a contrarian. I'm a Philistine, so like any popular culture like that someone will say, and I know it's a wanker tactic to have. So like if people say, "Oh, I love Coldplay," I'll be like, "Oh, I hate Coldplay because everybody else likes Coldplay." Do you know what I mean? To be fair, I'm not like that anymore, but I used to be like that. So if someone would say,
you like to go against the grain.
Yeah, exactly. So someone would say, "Who's your favourite rapper?" And in my mind, I'm going Eminem, but because everyone loves Eminem, I go, "No, it's actually fucking Wu-Tang Clan." Do you know what I mean? Like, I kind of try and, you know, be a bit of a contrarian in that way.
Did you feel like you were doing that because you wanted to stand out? It was almost like this will be the way that I'll be different and I'll get attention, is by going against the grain.
Yeah, I think so. I've not actually analysed it, but I reckon you're right. I think that it was definitely an attention drawing thing to do that, and especially with, you know, with anything like with like the clothes that I used to try and buy. I used to try and buy something that people would recognise as cool, but that wasn't what everybody else was wearing. Again, trying to distinguish myself.
I'm the exact same, because I have this complex basically that I wasn't very exciting, and I almost would get upset to the fact that I came from a really stable home with two parents that, you know, like we went to church, we came home, we went to nice schools, lived in nice suburbs, and it was just sort of the picturesque, boring life. So anything I could do to go against the grain, be different, whether it be misbehaving, whether it be wearing different clothing, whether it be having a different haircut, and I'd almost try and like make myself either look really bad or really good, just so I wasn't in the middle. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I had like this complex where it wasn't even like I would tell myself this is my true identity. My identity is different, but I didn't know what my identity was. All I knew is what I didn't want to be, and I was sort of just searching around the outside because I was like frustrated that my life had been so uneventful, and now I have the opportunity to go and do whatever I want and be wherever I want to be in the world and work and do whatever. And now I feel like I'm actually doing what I want to do. And there was like, do you have siblings that you lived with?
I didn't actually, no. I mean, I do have siblings that I keep in contact with, but I suppose my siblings are more my cousins, and so in terms of what I think that you're about to say is that obviously the kind of the people that you grew up with, you know, and you know, if they were to look at you now and say, "Oh, you know, what's he doing now?" Yeah, like what's
do you feel like you were in competition with them at any point?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in competition with everyone, really, in a sense. You know, there's a certain sense of like, you know, and I'm quite honest about the whole like jealousy thing in terms of, you know, it's not something that kind of eats me up inside, but I know that when I watch James Heath and he's ripping it up, there's 70% of me which I'm like, this guy's fucking so funny and he's brilliant and I admire him, and then there's 30% where I'm like, I'm jealous of him because he's really funny. Do you know what I mean? And because he's proper cool and like, and he's such a nice guy, and so it's the same with when people say, oh, did you watch this new comedy? Like, or did you watch this? And it's like, I don't want to watch it because either it'll be really shit and I won't like it, or it'll be really good and I'm jealous that I didn't think of it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get you.
And I think that people don't admit that often enough, that there's a certain jealousy, because it's okay to feel jealous, it's okay to feel envious of someone, you know what I mean? As long as you don't let it affect the way that you treat other people. Do you know what I mean?
My whole life decisions were based on looking at my older brother and knowing that I could do things better than him. So basically, like, we went to the same school. I almost studied identically the exact same subjects he did in high school, only to prove that I could do it better and still fuck around at the same time. And I did. I scored better on end of year exams. I did better than him in every single subject. And I didn't even do it because I wanted to do it. I only did it so that I could show that basically I would go to school to have a laugh.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't go to school to learn.
Yeah.
And I was saying on my last podcast, teachers would get frustrated with me because I would always do really well in exams, but in class I'd distract everybody else and stop them who really needed to learn, because they didn't have that like natural just bullshit ability where you can just pull it out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't study for exams and I'm still getting like high B's or low A's. So it would just be frustrating. And then I went to uni and I studied I left school to study the exact same degree my brother had done. But I was like, I'm going to become a lawyer. Like, he works for the police and counter-terrorism. Boring.
So you're
I'm going to be a high-flying lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, it was always just to try and like one-up him. And the one thing I did, which was for me, and then I realised, I was like, I'm so good at this and there's no way he'll ever be better. And then it just subsided. Like, it was always a competition, and we would fight like physically and like verbally all the time. And it was just this constant like trying to be better than each other. Like, I'd give my dad a Father's Day card, right? And I'd be like, from your favourite son, Matty. And then he would like cross it out and be like, second favourite son. And then he'd be like, from your true, like one and only, like best son, like all this shit. It was just this constant competition. And until I got to the point where I was doing something that he had zero interest in, and I knew that I was comfortable with doing that, and that was actually what brought me pleasure, and I was doing it for me, it all just went away. But for the longest time, it was trying to reach to be like, I've seen you do it, that looked like fun, but I'll do it better. And it's a weird complex to get into.
No, to be honest, I definitely understand what you mean. I think I didn't really have it that bad. I think siblings will get that a lot. I reckon people who grow up in the house with the brother and sister and stuff like that definitely will get that. And if you're a certain type of person, but yeah, I always wanted to. I always thought that like I could do. Like, I don't know. I always thought that I could do anything. Like, if someone said, "Oh, like, you know, make a suit, tailor a suit." I'm like, I'd be sick at that. Do you know what I mean? Like, just like
it's such a weird request. How often do people give up to you and be like, "Hey, Ben, what are you doing this weekend, mate? Do you want to tailor me up a suit? I'll send you my measurements."
Or people are like, if you want to design a garden, do you know what I mean? I'm like, I'd be sick at that. But
almost like a delusion that you're awesome at everything, and if it's so delusional to the point where when you actually get to doing it, you're like, oh fuck, and then you're like, well, I can't turn back now because I was so confident when I said I was awesome, so you just have to make it up. Like,
but yeah, I think, but I definitely feel more of a contentment in terms of like what I'm doing now with this comedy thing, because I can just feel it. I can feel the reaction that people, when people say, "Oh, I've seen that, and you know, I thought it was good," or you know, whatever. I can tell that it kind of suits me, and that the path is rewarding. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the acting wasn't that at all. Like people were telling me like, it's hard to be an actor. People coming to see the plays that I was in, and they were like, yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like I was never getting auditions for anything, and like, but the interesting thing about acting is that to get good at it. So obviously, people think that, you know, being an actor is like, you know, being in the like rehearsals, or like it's maybe like the job of acting is to, you know, for example, go to a workshop, an acting class. But that's not actually the job of it. The job where you make money is going to auditions and being in those high pressure situations and still being able to put on a performance.
Yeah.
And being on set where there's a camera in front of you, there's a £50,000 camera in front of you, and Martin Scorsese's over there and he's telling you, do this, this and this.
Yeah.
Because that's the level that everyone wants to get at.
Yeah.
And so what I was doing is, if I was getting like 3 auditions a year, I was getting maybe 15 minutes a year where I was actually practicing the craft of acting, which is winning auditions. So I realised that it was going to take me 20 years before I was ever going to be comfortable in an audition room.
Yeah.
So I thought I need to do something which I can do night after night after night after night, and which was stand up. So, you know, by the end of this year I will have done maybe, I don't know, say, I don't know, 5 minutes times what, I don't know how many gigs I've had. 60, yeah, call it 60. So
how long have you been going for?
about a year.
Yeah.
So like about 300 that's 300 minutes.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not good at maths, man.
No, I'm not. So basically, yeah, is your brother not good at maths either?
It's fucking dodgy.
Yeah.
If I've got a pad and pen, I can work it out.
Yeah, exactly. So roughly, so that would be a lot longer time that I would be on stage and practicing the craft of stand-up than I ever would have been doing acting. So yeah, I am going to eventually go back to acting, I think, and because of what I want to do realistically. You said, what's the next thing? I'm going to start filming some little comedy shorts of like a couple of characters that I've got, and so that will involve acting, and I'd like to recruit a few people from the comedy scene, the comedy circuit, and should be good.
Should figure it out. Do you feel like Manchester is the place for you for the next little while, or are you looking at somewhere else?
Yeah, I think that Manchester is for the foreseeable like few years, but I think eventually it would be nice to go back down to London, and when I'm more established as a comedian in Manchester.
Did you do stand up in London?
Yes, that's where I started doing stand up.
And what was your opinion?
My opinion on doing London in stand-up, I mean, it's very similar. However, the support that you get from the other open micers, so it's not there basically. So if we went to like a room like Shark or like the Patron or did Comics Anonymous, for example, where some nights it'll be only comedians in the crowd. But you're still making them laugh, and they'll still laugh at your jokes and that. In London, that same setup, they would never in a million years laugh at your joke, even if it was brilliant, because there's just not that same vibe. It's very supportive in Manchester, and everyone's pretty cool and down to earth, and you would literally be like, yeah, I'll go for a pint with you. Do you know what I mean? Whereas they're few and far between in London. But again, the crowd. I
feel like Manchester wasn't always this supportive.
Really?
Yeah. So I've spoken to people that have been in Manchester for quite a while, and they've said only like this year and this new batch of like us that are now in it, and the people that come to all the same gigs and whatever, we are the most supportive out of all the groups, and we're like organising to go and drink together outside of comedy. Like we are all a group of friends within a thing. It's not a competition, whereas it used to be very competitive. It used to be like, you can't be nice to that guy, you can't be like helping him write jokes. And even like Gemma Roberts was saying about the Liverpool scene, she was like shocked that Sean Pachkovsky was here writing jokes with me, and she was like, do you guys write jokes together? I was like, yeah, we all write jokes together. We're all trying to get better. And she's just like, I don't think we do that in Liverpool. She's like, obviously she's a parent, she's got a real job and whatever, so she's not, out and about in it. But again, like that's really uncommon. But for us, I can't see any other way. Like it's the only thing that makes sense.
No way. Do you know what? I'm fucking buzzing that you've said that, because I'm glad that we've kind of unconsciously broke the mold. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it was like that in London, like it was very like unsupportive, but don't get me wrong, in front of a real audience, like a real comedy audience, they were very, very responsive and like a good crowd, and like obviously London's got such a diverse and massive population that like there are lots of places to do stand up and big audiences, and again but I think that I don't know, but I'm really glad that you've said that about that, because I was surprised, and I just thought it was Manchester, because I thought people are friendlier in the north. But like literally everyone that I've met, I don't think I've met a single person where I'm like, you know, I wouldn't chill and have a pint with that guy or that girl.
It was Brandon Craig that like solidified it for me after he finished emceeing my gig the other week. He was like, Matty, this gig is really good. He's like, Manchester has an open mic scene that will actually produce good comedians.
Definitely.
He's like, nights like this, nights like Belly Laugh, Hold Fast, Comics Anonymous, Shark at Patreon, all these nights, there's enough time for everyone to perform, everyone knows everyone, and the audiences are rocking up. He's like, this is like the best it's ever been. And I think he's in his 6th year of doing it. He spent time in Canada, he spent time here, and he's like, it's become a scene.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's become a place. And even, like, the fresh people, like Erica Eela, who's come over from Canada, she was just like, this is such an exciting place for comedy.
Cool.
Like, it's so cool. And it's our little, like, Fab Cafe started group, like, the Comedy Balloon where I did my first gig. You know, Barry Heaps, the MC. Jason's doing a great job. And now Barry's offering us gigs, you know, all over the place. Sean's going to Warrington to do bloody beer festivals and that. Like, it's all sort of kicking off, and we're all sort of in this one little epicenter together.
Definitely.
And no one is letting anyone else get shit. If someone's really bad, what I like is that people have got on stage and they've said and they've done things that can be done better, and certain people in the scene will be like, let's go out for a drink, let's go have a chat, have a catch up, let's work on this bit, I want to see you do better. Nowhere else in the country have I ever heard of that happening.
Yeah.
Where a guy, like, if I don't like something you say or I think it can be done better, I'm not being like, you're shit, fix it. I'm like, let's go out for a drink, let's go have a chat. I think you could do this, this, and this.
100%. Yeah.
No
definitely.
one else takes that time.
Yeah, sick, man, definitely. And that's another thing as well, is that, like, when I was growing up, and obviously watching documentaries on, you know, obviously, like, on music, you know, like different music waves of like grunge or punk, or, you know, and I always wanted to be part of a scene, really. Always wanted to be part of a scene. And I think it's weird because it doesn't happen. You can't consciously walk into a scene. I think a scene develops around you, basically, you know, and it develops around each individual person, and each individual person's input and participation makes up the scene. So, like, and that's what's happened here, and I think that
I feel like in the last 9 months,
definitely,
it's really 100%. Kicked up again.
Yeah, definitely, and it's only going to get better. And, you know, just in terms of, you know, just the kind of progression that I've seen from the belly laughs, the progression that I've seen from your night, Giggle Gang, shout out. Even though we're on the Giggle Gang podcast.
Can't know, mate. Can't know.
And, you know, Comics Anonymous as well. Think about the venue that's at now. Like, that venue's a fucking sick venue. And, yeah, I think that, you know, it will only get better. And obviously, and if you just look at who's winning the competitions, you know, it's Anna Spark, you know, James Heath, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, I didn't get a prize, but dirty fucking bastards. But you know, obviously, these are all people.
Jamie Hobson getting to the clap off in King Gong.
Exactly. From when I first saw him, when I first did King Gong in February, and he was terrible. Seconds. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? And so you can really see the evolution, and, you know, the people who are the nicest people in the game, and who are really cool, supportive characters, are also the best comedians. And so it's a good template to show the people, you know, around the country or whatever, to say, you know, you don't have to be a fucking cock, you know what I mean, to be a good comedian, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to be a cunt, as I always say.
A cunt and a cock.
That's right. Fuck them.
Join them together.
That's right. And you'll give birth to a beautiful comedy scene. Now, Ben, if people want to follow you on the socials, see where you gig, and where can they catch you? So,
I'm actually doing a gig tonight, but obviously this will probably be released after tonight. Later. So I'm actually doing Hot Water Comedy Club tonight, and I will be at the Comedy Store on the 3rd of January, and that should be a good night. But other than that, if you can follow me on Instagram, it's Long Ben Silver. Get me on Facebook, Ben Silver, and yeah, that's about it, really.
That's about it. Well, look, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
wish you all the success in the world,
Thank you, mate.
You'll be back on this podcast.
Oh, I'll be back.
It's been really angering for me because as we talk about there's no competition in the comedy scene, I like having guests on before saying Sutton gets them, and the fact that you went on his first grates me. It really does. So as I said, we don't backtrack on this podcast. So fuck saying Sutton. If you're a fan of that podcast, you know.
Yeah.
Northern Rail, when a train arrives, jump. I say some controversial things and no one can hold me down. It's internet podcasting, ladies and gentlemen, where anything can happen. Right, any final words?
No, that's it. I think you summed it up well. The suicide. The suicide.
Just attacking all my competitors, even though I've been on his podcast and I love him to bits.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that Phil films his, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Why don't you film yours?
Because I don't have a good background and I don't like the idea of film. So while I watch his, I don't even watch it. I literally put it on YouTube, I close it and put it in my pocket.
Right, okay.
I don't like video podcasts.
Okay.
So that's why I don't want to make a video podcast. Because one, all the extra equipment, the editing, it's just so much
It's
hard
kind of
work.
worthless in a sense.
Yeah. Whereas all they care about is a photo of you, which is up behind the picture of whatever, so they know what you look like and hearing our voices. And again, that is how you make entertainment, Ben Silver.
We'll leave it there.
Beautiful. If you want to watch some live comedy around Manchester, Monday, Hold Fast Shark Comedy, hosted by Evan Demaray and Cam McLeod. Tuesday, you got Belly Laugh, hosted by Dan Baines and Phil Sutton. Wednesday is Comedy Balloon, hosted by Jason Cook, the longest running open mic night in Manchester, celebrating 19 years this year. Thursday is Comics Anonymous with Tuesday Tony and Anna Spark, and Friday is nothing. Sunday, you've got Giggle Gang Comedy hosted by the one, the only Matty motherfucking Shaw. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. And next episode, we're going to have Scar Diddly Dee Didgeridoo Dobson. So, get a fucking round it. Say hi to your mum for me.